Hi everybody. Yeah, I usually say good morning, but it's not morning. So, um, anyway, I guess I'll give a little update on things that have been happening. Um, it was interesting when I woke up this morning and I saw the post about the gal that worked at Taco Bell and her interactions with Larry. Um, when I wake up and that's the first thing I see, it really, it's a lot because we shouldn't be dealing with this at all. Nobody should be. But I did a few things. I've been looking into a few things, and there's a few things that have happened that we can't quite share yet, but I will in the next few days. But I wake up every day and I try to figure out, why are we in this fight? I don't understand it. Like, if it was a custody battle, I'd understand that. If it was, I don't know. This just doesn't make sense, because this really, Justice for Oakley came to be because of the man that lives in the woods. And we can't seem to get any resolve with that, any help with that, or anybody to even acknowledge that this is real, this is happening, and something needs to be done. So it makes me wonder, because I'm like, I hear things, that people say, things like I hear coming out of the county building, not anybody that actually follows the truth here, because we have provided everybody with actual facts about this case, period. So when they say stuff like, this Kevin's just trying to get back at Oakley's mom, or he's just, things didn't go his way, so this is why we're here. Or I hear people say that, I've heard people actually say to me, he didn't do anything to children. And I have no words left anymore. I really don't. I don't have words for people anymore, because this story has been so clear. We have established that my granddaughter has contact with this man, and has for the past 3.5 years, since she started being left in their care on a regular basis. So when I get these messages, or people say stuff, and it's not very many, but there's a handful, and I see the county doing all this stuff where they're trying to put Kevin in jail, and they're allowing PPOs, and all this crazy stuff is going on, and we still have a Larry. And I just can't wrap my head around this. It's like, we have provided all the information. So then I have to ask myself, okay, so are we pretending that somehow Larry's history isn't real? Have we convinced ourselves, or has somebody convinced you that Larry's not a threat to Oakley and anybody else in that vicinity, along with the other gentleman that stays out there too? Do you think that his family, his victims, everything, Oakley, the Molars, myself, my entire family, all the stories we've shared, all the facts we've shared, all the paperwork, the videos, and all that stuff, and there's a lot more we have if anyone ever wants to see it, but you've all convinced yourself that this isn't a problem, and then you wake up this morning to the girl that worked at Taco Bell and now works at the Pilot, and her history with this gentleman, and that's not a problem. Well, okay. It seems to me more that this is your way of spinning the narrative, and obviously protecting yourselves. I'm not really sure what this is, because none of you, not one of you, are ever going to leave your children at this house around this man. So I don't know where you think that it's okay to ask Kevin to leave his daughter around this man, but that's what you're doing, and you're cutting off all his access to any help with this. So that's why we're here. But with that, I went to the township, because I know, because common sense, and especially if you want to go after Kevin, really, I find this interesting too. And Miss Ahmed, I think she wanted to talk about his mental health. You know, like something's wrong. That's why he's doing all this stuff on social media. Well, then I'd have to say, then I guess my entire family has some mental instability, apparently. If we listen to people like you, and we don't know what we're talking about, and we're all liars. Like, really, that's what you convinced yourself of? Really? With all the information that's been provided, that's the kind of stuff you guys want to talk about. You want to talk about Kevin, you want to talk about my family, you want to talk about everything except the issue. And the issue is real. So I keep thinking to myself, how is he allowed to be there? Okay, and somebody misinformed me. I thought it was actually a township ordinance that they were running under the guise of that, like something, the verbiage or the language in it wasn't correct, and so that makes it so he gets to stay. Well, no, I guess apparently what it comes down to is it's the Right to Farm Act. And so I was just told this earlier. It's the Right to Farm Act. And so I had somebody look it up, and we are doing our homework on that right now. Just from the little bit they pulled up already in the homework they're done, it says that housing temporary migrant workers, it has to be habitable. It has to have running water. You have to provide laundry services. It has to have electricity and all this stuff. Well, none of this fits that criteria. But we're going to get to that. We're working on it, and because I don't want to say anything that I don't know to be absolutely true. So I'm going to get all that, and all these people that are members in our group, I believe that we're like up to 2,000 just in this group alone. You know, we must all be kind of mentally unstable too, and really can't figure out what's going on here, and we're just all wrong, and Kevin's the issue. Okay, we must all be wrong. Everything we provided I don't know, we made it up, I guess. I don't know where y'all are going with this. That is hasn't inspired one of you to do the right thing in this case, which was a very simple thing to do. So with that being said, I thought maybe I have some thoughts on this. And from the beginning of this situation, since we were thrown into this family court system, we had to do a lot of homework trying to figure out what is going on here. Why is this happening? Why does Kevin have no rights in this courtroom? I mean, he's been stripped of constitutional rights. Oakley's been stripped of her constitutional rights. He has not ever been allowed due process. He is not afforded the protection of the law. He has been threatened with physical harm. He applied for PPOs and was denied. Oh, and I want to share with you too what happened yesterday. Okay, so everyone probably by now knows about the death threat letter that Larry sent to Kevin. It was posted online. So it was turned in, there was a complaint filed by the state police, and they filed it with the prosecutor's office. So we found out yesterday that they've rejected it. Okay, and I'm gonna read you real quick what they said. Okay, because I'm as baffled as you will be in a minute. So let me tell you what they said. Hold on, give me a second. Sorry. Gotta find it. Hold on. I'm so sorry, guys. Just bear with me here. Oh my goodness, I just had it yesterday. Oh, here it is. Sorry. Okay. All right. So this is what I get yesterday. The case from you guys was denied at the prosecutor's office, citing complaint lacks credibility. Unlawful posting or stalking cases require 2 or more unconsented contacts that does not exist in this case. Moreover, the report was made months after the letter and was only done after contention civil proceedings before Judge Tomlinson. This was the prosecutor's response. Really? Okay, well, I don't know where they got this information, but that's not anything that happened. That letter was given to Kevin by somebody. It was given to get to Kevin, and they were very concerned about the whole situation, and he received the letter. At first, we had to sit down and talk because he was a little worried that harm may come to the people that turned over the letter, which we'll get to that. But then it was like, no, I have to turn this in. Because understand, Kevin had already had an issue, PPO issued against him, and he filed a motion to terminate that, and that is when they had the 2.5 hour long hearing where Larry admitted to all his contact with Oaklei. Okay, so this letter came after that, was given to him after that, and within that week he called the police, and the police came and took all the information and filed the complaint and felt the need to bring it to the prosecutor. Okay, so with that, the prosecutor has rejected this. Now I would imagine that if any of us wrote that letter to somebody, we'd probably be doing minimum of a year in county, don't you think? You can't write these kinds of letters. And certainly if you didn't go file a PPO against this person for talking about your behavior on social media. Or actually, he didn't even do that. He just informed people that you were there. And so now this protection of this man is so mind-boggling. I can't even make sense of this. Every morning, every night, it wakes me up every night, because what are you all doing? Like, do you think he's not real? Do you think he's not a threat? Really? Because if you came to Kevin or my family or his family or everybody that knows him, we could literally, how big does the pile have to get? Because here's his file, okay? This makes for some really horrible reading, okay? Read this file. But everyone at the county, I think, is already aware of this. Every single last bit of it. And I think you all know. So why you're choosing to protect him and not my granddaughter, I'll never know. And in the information that's been given to us in the last 2 days is more horrifying than the stuff we got the day before. So we can keep going with this, and you can keep making this about Kevin, and you can keep throwing him in jail and doing everything you're doing. But understand, all of us, we're going to do whatever has to be done within the law to remove this man. So he is not a threat to anybody. So with that being said, that's all I have to say about that today. But so I'll get back to, from the beginning of this, we had to be little detectives trying to figure out why we're even dealing with this stuff. Because this is not how a court of law is supposed to work. Everybody has the right to due process. Everybody has the right to be treated with respect in a courtroom. In a family court, it is supposed to be about the best interests of the children. Always, right? Okay, so in our case, it's never been about that. It's been about everything other than about Oaklei. And they want to make it seem like it's about Kevin because they won't allow the other side. Okay, so there never has there been a time where Kevin's been able to go in there and either defend himself or be defended by an attorney, because that's not how it works. And I'm going to guess that everyone I'm looking at here in the audience right now really knows that family court is like kind of one-sided.
Say more about that.
Yeah, I mean, when attorneys will tell you that they know at the first hearing, they know exactly how this case is going to go from there on out, and they're going to know whose side the judge is going to be on, and they know who's going to get what they want and who's going to be the loser. And because there's always a winner and loser in family court, always. I'm telling you, that's what it is. And it used to remind me that, okay, so you got two people in there that didn't get along, and that's how they ended up in family court, because a lot of people just get divorced, have kids, work it out, and get on with their lives. You end up in family court. Sometimes it's absolutely necessary, okay, because there are some really bad things going on. But when a couple doesn't get along very well before they get divorced or separated, I'm pretty sure they're not going to get along in family court. It kind of reminds me, at first it would remind me of a romper room for adults. It really did. I've been in there like almost 40 times. So we've had to see a lot of cases. So, and I've seen people that have literally been in there for 7 years in front of this judge, couples, arguing about the most ridiculous stuff I've ever seen. And the judge allows it because everyone's making money. I mean, they're sitting with their attorneys and all this is happening. So it's crazy. So, yeah, no, in family court, it literally, you don't get to go in there and you both present the truth or your facts. It's not even necessary. You can go in there and literally talk. And I'll tell you a really sad thing, and it's changed my whole view of how I see a lot of things in this world. I have literally, at this point now, I have seen attorneys flat out lie. I mean, flat out tell a lie. I have seen attorneys tell their clients to lie in a court of law. And I have seen a judge tell a lie, a flat out lie from the bench. That was it for me at that point. When a judge will literally sit there and tell a lie when it concerns a little girl's safety, I've lost all faith. I have no faith in our justice system at all. And I know that it's not just in our county, and I know that it's not just happening to us. That's why we have 2,000 members at this point, if not more. And because this is happening to everybody. Like, there is no such thing as justice behind those doors anymore. I don't know what this has come to, and I cannot believe that a judge will lie. I just, that one is astounding me, and it's at the expense of a little girl's safety. And this is, I don't get this one. This one's got me really confused. I'm not gonna keep dragging on because I can just talk forever. But anyway, I thought maybe I'd share something, and maybe you'll find that this happened in your case too. Because I honestly believe in my heart that because of who my granddaughter's great-grandparents are, in their history with the community, has a lot to do with this battle, okay? And at first, attorneys tried to say, no, that's not it, and tried to tell us we were crazy, and we would connect these dots, and they'd say, no, that's not it. No, I don't think so. And all this stuff, right? So, I mean, we had to do a lot of homework, but I'm just going to give you our connect the dots. And, okay, maybe this has nothing to do with it. Maybe it does. You guys can decide that for yourselves. I'm just going to tell you all the connections we have in our case that seem to me to be a huge problem, okay? So, I'll start. Okay, so first of all, Judge Tomlinson and Gary Fletcher, they had a firm. And then Judge Tomlinson ran to be the judge. And I don't think it was a family court judge at the time, but either way. And I know that Fletcher pretty much carried his whole campaign, and he became family court judge. So
carried the campaign? What do you mean by that?
Well, when you look at the finance statements from his campaign, Fletcher carried most of that. Okay, and so that's public record. You can all look that up, and you can see who contributed, even if it was $5. You can see every contribution that was made to that campaign, and I believe that Judge Tomlinson has ran unopposed since he's been in that position, except one time. I think that John Adair may have possibly ran against him one time. If I'm wrong, somebody can correct me on that. So, okay, so there's the first thing. Then, Gary Fletcher has been the family attorney for the Moeller family for a long time. And he is also good friends with that family. Gary Fletcher was also a pallbearer at Brian Moeller's funeral. and at Larry Muller's funeral. So that kind of says that how close they all are. Okay, so I'm just going to put this all out there because we have to look at this every day and try to figure out what this means. Okay, so then Scott Muller, which is Ron Muller's nephew, he was an attorney at Fletcher's firm. I believe he may have even been a partner, but he was in there too. And then we come to Judge Tomlinson and Dana Vandrew. Well, Dana Vandrew, I know at one time had a firm and was partners with Dan Damon. And whatever happened there, that was a story, but it's not my story to tell, and I'm not going to. But Judge Tomlinson and Dana Vandrew were co-defendants in a civil rights action that was brought against them. And they never disclosed that. And when Kevin ended up in this family court system, at the time, that was an open case, and they were co-defendants in it. And it's my understanding by people that know that they are supposed to disclose that if you are going in front of them, because Dana was the opposing attorney, and they were supposed to disclose that. So when that came to be, now I'm telling you, we're probably a year and a half into this whole mess, and that's when we became aware of the situation. And at that time, they filed a motion to recuse Judge Tomlinson, and also to recuse based on the bias that was being blatantly shown in this case. And understand that when you file to recuse a judge, you go in front of that judge. He gets to decide, literally. He gets to decide whether he wants to recuse himself or not. And if he chooses not to, then it goes in front of Chief Kelly, Judge Kelly. And then he gets to decide. And so what we have learned, it's interesting, isn't it? Again, who oversees everybody? They oversee each other. Okay, there's no higher power here. Well, there is. We'll get there. But, okay, so Judge Tomlinson refused to recuse himself, said that it was a frivolous case, really doesn't mean anything, it's no big deal, and he didn't see any reason to disclose it. Okay, so it leaves there, and we end up in Judge Kelly's courtroom, okay? And for some reason, Dana Vandrew ends up in this hearing, and she is kind of acting, now mind you, she's the opposing client's attorney, and this involved her, and she kind of ends up in the hearing in front of Judge Kelly, kind of acting as attorney for Judge Tomlinson. And all they do is totally verbatim read what Judge Tomlinson, because when we went into the hearing with Judge Tomlinson, no one was allowed to talk. He just sat and he read everything. Nope, nobody got to talk. He kind of read, not very much, they didn't get to talk. And then he kind of read why he saw no reason to recuse himself. And then we got over to Judge Kelly's hearing, and Dana kind of filled in as like an attorney, appeared as the attorney for Judge Tomlinson. It really was crazy. So we're still in Judge Tomlinson's courtroom, so as apparently you can see that he didn't recuse himself, and neither did Judge Kelly. But we were told actually before we ever got to in front of Judge Kelly that Judge Kelly is never going to go against Judge Tomlinson. That is never going to happen. So that's an interesting statement and an interesting way to have to go into a hearing, right? And then I think last week at the hearing, Judge Tomlinson said that he was aware that there's been a motion filed to recuse the county in this case. And he said that he didn't really see anything that's changed that would cause him to recuse himself, but he'll listen to the argument. Very, very kind of you. Okay? So there's those guys. And so then, during this time that they are co-defendants in this case, Dana Vandrew goes to work for Fletcher's firm. She becomes their new family law attorney. Okay? So then, we also understand that Brian Muller, Ron Muller's, the great-grandpa's brother was Brian Muller, and we're all aware that he was captain, I believe, for Port Huron Police Department. I believe he was also mayor, and I also believe he was a council member at one point. So he has a long history in the community. Okay, so there's that. And then I believe that Oaklei's mom's aunt works within the juvenile system and is vocalized being tight-knit with local officials to a member of Justice for Oaklei who wished to remain anonymous. And then we get to Detective Rickard, who was actually the one that did the investigation on the bruising and hitting with Oaklei, and was also the detective that informed of Larry's history. And lo and behold, as we're in the middle of that, he informs us that Dana Vandrew was his divorce attorney. Okay? And then the next thing you know, Dana Vandrew calls Detective Rickard in the middle of the open investigation and gives her opinion on Kevin and the situation. So there was that. So now they're connected. Okay, so then from there we go to the CPS worker that did the initial investigation with Oaklei about Larry in the Woods. Lo and behold, guess what? She ends up being the best friend, matron of honor of the maternal grandmother, Oaklei's grandma, maternal grandmother. She was the maid of honor. Okay, so there's that. But I'm going to, just so everyone's clear, her report in regards to this case, she did the right thing because she did issue a duty to warn and said zero contact with Larry Whitcomb. Okay, so I'm going to throw that out there just so we know. I'm just telling you that it seems a little coincidental that that's who we ended up with again. Okay, so then we're going to get to Judge Tomlinson and Detective Rickard both sit on the board of the King Council. Okay, so and at the time Oaklei was taken to the King Council for a forensic interview in regards to the bruising and stuff. At that time, when she went in there, everybody knew about Larry in the Woods. Everybody in the situation knew. And not one, not Judge Tomlinson, not the detective, not the mother, the maternal grandmother, anybody involved in this, nobody informed that interviewer of Larry in the Woods. Because had she known, she would have talked about it and would have known that at that time, way back then, that Oaklei was in contact with this man. Okay, so there's that. And then Kevin and Oakley's mom had to go into FOC for your referee, you're assigned a referee, right, to work out your child support and all that stuff. Lo and behold, who does it end up being but none other than Judge Tomlinson's sister. Okay, so now we have that. Okay, which I understand that she should never be the referee in any case that goes before Judge Tomlinson. That's nepotism, and they're all aware of that. So why she is able to be a referee to any parents that Judge Tomlinson is their family court judge, that's unbelievable. And so I'm just going to put this out there for all of you that if she is your FOC referee and your case is in Judge Tomlinson's courtroom, you should file a complaint immediately. Because
how do you file a complaint?
With the JTC, and you should do it immediately because that should not be happening. And I don't care if someone's telling you that's okay, it's not. That should not be happening. So I know that we can't be the only ones that ended up in that position, but that's another coincidence.
There's no statute of limitations on that.
No,
is it?
no,
Okay.
nope. And then we get, Oaklei gets assigned a GAL, and this is in the past.
GAL?
Guardian ad litem. And out of nowhere, okay, Dana Vandrews is no longer representing Oakley's mom, and so at the time she's left with no attorney, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Oakley's assigned a GAL. And Why? I don't know. The only reason I can see that Oaklei would have ever needed a GAL, a guardian ad litem, is because of the Larry situation, maybe, but she wasn't assigned for that. Judge Tomlinson said he was assigning her because he thought that Oaklei's needs were being lost in everything else going on surrounding this case. And it's like, Oaklei's needs are being lost. Not by her dad, and not by any of us, because we don't have her. And where she's being left is where Mr. Whitcomb is, and all that's going on. So if her needs are being lost, it's not because of her dad, and it's not because of any of us. So, but we end up with Amberine Ahmed, and she has a history of working with Dana Vandrews, and actually Miss Ahmed informed Kevin that her and Dana are the best family court attorneys in St. Clair County, and that's what verbatim what she said. And really, I don't know, did somebody, I don't know, maybe they passed out an award for that. I don't really know how you got there, and I'm really sorry, and I'm not being rude, but you, to even make that statement, I don't know why you would, but you did. So, okay, so there's another connection. So, and also, I believe Judge Tomlinson presided over a guardianship of Ron and Norma's grandson, Amy's brother. And then I also believe that he may be presiding over a guardianship with the Moeller family at this time. And I also believe that he is the guardian in a case revolving a Whitcomb family member. I also believe that he may be the family court judge in some Whitcomb cases in front of him. So, I don't know. This is a lot of dots, okay, for one case. I can see, I don't even understand how Kevin ended up in this courtroom with all this going on, with all these dots, I guess. But he did, and here he is 3.5 years later, and rather than talk about Oaklei and her safety and Mr. Whitcomb being in the woods and all that brings into this situation, we want to talk about Kevin posting a picture of Oaklei on his personal Facebook page, which he has done since the day she was born. And we want to talk about a snarky comment he made to the maternal grandparent, which if you would have looked at any of the history, and she wouldn't have got on the stand and lied and said that she one time replied to him by mistake. So that's what we're focusing on. So, and Kevin's in jail, and his daughter is still being brought to this home, and that man is still in the woods. So we're going to keep going until Larry's gone, and not just for Oakley's safety, but for everybody's safety. And if you've all convinced yourself that he's not a threat in St. Clair County, the powers that be have all convinced yourself that this isn't an issue, or he's not a threat, then you've all lost your minds. So all of us out here, we're going to keep fighting for justice, and justice for Oaklei, and for her safety and everybody else's safety. Every other child who's in harm's way. And that's what we're going to do.
So, would you remind the people about April 11th?
I will. 2 things. There's a rally, April 11th, here.
Well, let's talk about the first thing. First thing in the morning, 9 o'clock.
Okay, 9 o'clock. Kevin has a hearing. That is a hearing about the motion to recuse the county, is the first one.
And why is that important?
It's important because I think I probably can tell you how it's going to go in the end, but I think it's really important that the public sees how something like this goes. I really think you need to see how this is handled behind those doors. Like, you really need to see a judge that's in this position in what is going to come before him, and watch the argument that's made, and see where it goes. I think you'll all find it very interesting. And
I wouldn't use interesting, I'd use disturbing.
well, and disturbing, because really I think there was enough to probably be out of this situation a long time ago. And all that anybody is ever asked here is, let's just follow the guidelines for the 12 best interest factors of a child in family court, and let's follow the law. That's it. Nothing else has been asked or expected. And I think everybody out here that ever has to be in family court deserves that. At the bare minimum, everybody deserves that. And so everyone should come to that hearing.
And one of the important reasons why I wanted her to share more about the recusal, because it's important that you know that it's your right. You can ask for a recusal, especially if you have so much nepotism.
Yeah.
And so many family ties and connections and these ancestral movements that seem to be colluding against you. You have the right to ask for that, and even demand that. Because today somebody reached out to me and they were going to share something that happened with a police involved case, and they were afraid because they thought they would be harassed. You have to realize that if your city police doesn't do right, and it happens within the city limits, you can escalate to the county. And if that doesn't work, then you can escalate to the state.
Yeah. And actually, my advice is just go straight to the state police. Skip the rest of it, just go straight to the state police.
And if you
That's just my advice.
now, if you're in St. Clair County and you go to the city building and you try to complain, I want you to be clear and understanding that if you talk to them at that particular location, it's just like talking to the police in the basement. Go to the Lapeer hub, where the lieutenant there is in control of this particular area, and then you can connect with them, and you'll have a better middle ground to have a conversation. So be very careful when you talk to folk who work together in the same building.
Yes.
I don't care what uniforms they got on, they work together.
Yeah.
Just like today, we were told, we were trying to help another young lady who had an issue, and we were told by a police department that handcuffing a child and beating that child is considered discipline. A police officer told this young lady that. That was within it happened in our county. They said handcuffing. So let me see, let me see hand on. Because watch this, handcuff her to the table.
Yeah.
And beating is discipline.
What?
That was down there in a nice neighborhood. One of those nice neighborhoods down there.
No way.
That police department. Right now, I ain't gonna say the police department, but if I call myself and I hear that, then I'm gonna tell everybody the police department and the officer that said it, because the reason why that's untrue. But watch this: if you allow people to lie to you with uniforms, they will get away with it until you report it. That's why you must know your rights.
That's interesting, because if you watch tonight's news, I believe Ross Jones is doing an article on that about police officers lying. That's a big thing on Channel 7 tonight. I will catch that later when I get home. Interesting.
It's a huge thing because they lie, and the reason why they get away with it is because you don't say anything, and you're afraid to organize. And the other thing too, we were at a meeting with this same parent, and we had to go to DHS to handle this situation. And I asked a question after we finally got in contact with the lady there. I said, well, is there anywhere that a parent can get the manual in which a CPS worker has to go by? And she told us that online, if you go to the state of Michigan, DHS, their entire policies and procedures and how they are to operate, it's right there available for download. So hear me. I will never tell you that I don't believe you or you weren't done wrong, but I will ask you a question. Were you too lazy to research and find out what you can do and what you can't do, and what could happen and what couldn't happen? Trust me, the law does not legislate righteousness. It doesn't do that. The law does not legislate righteousness. It does not have a moral conscience.
Right.
It benefits those who made it, period. But morality must be maintained by us who experience the everyday living. Don't forget, April 4th, that's what today is. 50 years ago, MLK was assassinated today. And so again, just to let you all know that are out there, we are going to continue to stand for righteousness no matter what. There is a dream that we can hold people accountable to these standards. And I have a dream, ready? I'm about to have I have a dream speech. I have a dream that little kids won't have to be in the woods with folks who are sexual offenders. I have a dream, right? I feel it. It's coming on me right now. I feel that people don't have to be afraid of their elected officials. They'll be empowered to remind them that if I stop paying taxes, you'll stop getting money. We have the ability, if we are willing to stand, educate ourselves, because one thing Jamie did tonight is show you document upon document, proof upon proof, as she has done the entire time through the Justice for Oakley, to prove the sins of this county. They're upset because their sins are exposed, not the fact that they're lying. They're being lied on. Right. When their sins are exposed, there's nothing darkness can do. Right. Don't be mad and don't get educated and do something. So again,
because I believe the truth matters. I'm sorry, I just believe the truth matters.
But the lawyers will tell you it doesn't matter what the truth is; it matters what you can prove in court.
I was told by a lawyer one time that the truth doesn't matter, and they're behind those two doors, and that was probably one of the worst moments of my life when she looked at me and said that. And later on, we talked about it again. She says, "Well, I didn't quite mean it like that." I said, "In that moment, yes, you did. You said, as we were all crying our eyes out, that the truth doesn't matter in there, and because you knew it." And I guess, I just real quick, I just want to talk about something that I struggled with, and I still struggle with, is in the situation. I asked myself why the people that participate in all this every day, and they see this going on, and they know what's going on, and they know what's happening, and they know what it's doing to children and families all over our country, why do you do it? Then why do you do it? And why do you take the money? And why do you earn a living doing this? And I struggled with that. I mean, that brought me to my knees more than once and curled up in a ball crying because I couldn't do it. And then I guess it comes down to really, like, I keep hearing the phrase, people won't crap in their own backyard, okay? And I kind of get it, kind of. But see, I have a moral compass, and I don't really sway off my moral compass. I have a belief system on what I believe is right and wrong. I have a moral compass that I think holds up to the standards of most of society. And I just stick with it. And you couldn't get me to take money from a parent to have a fight like this and do anything that would harm a child ever in my entire life. So for all you family attorneys out there, when you're doing something and you absolutely know that a child's in harm's way and you go into that courtroom and you fight to keep that child there, I don't even have, I have no words for it at all. I'm sorry. That one I struggle with all the time.
Well, I understand. Well, also, so 9 o'clock, April 11th.
Yes.
That's
the court hearing. And everybody that can attend, please. And really just for your own education, because everybody needs to understand what's happening in this court system. You need to know, you need to learn, because everybody has got to protect these children and what's happening to them in family court. Period. Everybody has to protect the children.
Amen.
That is extremely important. Anything else happening before the rally that day? There's another case on the 11th.
It's in Tomlinson's court.
Tomlinson's court.
Make sure,
Tomlinson's court,
Okay.
9 a.m., April 11th.
Yeah, just
that one.
Yep, just that one.
Okay, and then that night, I want you to come back to Faith Christian Community Church. The flyer will be posted again, 7 p.m. What we're going to do is be very strategic. We're going to have our panel again. However, we are looking to do a few things. The first thing we want to do is we want to gather all of our complaints against the judges in this county. If you've had an issue and you have your documents and you're ready to fill your paperwork out, or you've already done it, if you bring it that night, we'll send it all together. Matter of fact, if we get enough of them, I'll drive them up to Lansing myself.
Yep.
We just got to get them notarized. We'll find a notary. We'll get them here so that we can make sure everything gets notarized. Also, we want to, if you have an issue with the justice system, bring your issue and your complaint. Behind what you don't see off stage, we have a lot of advocates that are ready to help you through your situation. You will not be alone. Today we spent, God knows, hours at DHS until the parent got some resolve. And even still, we're not all the way there, but we're closer than we were before. And we have to keep fighting. And so please do not be afraid. So that night you're going to get a chance to file your complaints and also get some more resources.
With attorneys or with the JTC or the grievance committee.
Absolutely, for attorneys.
For attorneys. Mm-hmm.
We're going to put all that out there.
Yep.
Is there anything else?
We're also we're working on a form letter that can be sent out to all the state reps and county commissioners and all the legislative branches in Michigan. So we're working on a form letter for everybody. I also I had posted about if anybody has the time or really wants to make sure everybody is aware of what's happening here and they'd like to share with their feelings on this whole situation with my granddaughter, please write a short letter and share your concerns with Judge Kelly, because he's the chief judge up there.
And that's on there as well.
And if he's not aware of how concerned people are about the situation, because it doesn't only affect Oakley at this point, because you know where the location is and what it's by, please send him a letter and share your concerns with him. And I would also share your concerns and reach out to Fort Trod, the owner of Fort Trod, because this is going to affect him also. This is going to affect him. I promise you it's going to affect him.
Absolutely.
And if he can jump in this arena and help us to resolve this issue, that would be great. And I know people are trying to reach out to them, and I know they don't open till May 1st, but there's other ways to contact him. So I hope that you do that too. And I hope that he jumps on board and helps us find resolve.
Awesome. And I want you to know as well, we have started a petition through petition at whitehouse.gov. And we need, now this is very ambitious, but we believe, need 99,999 signatures to get the White House to bring action on justice for Oakley. Just imagine if you get a tweet from Trump about this issue. Why is there a Larry in the woods?
Yeah, right. Could you send that to St. Clair County when you tweet that, Mr. Trump?
Tag every Republican you know. Listen, that wants to build a wall. Tell him we got the first place he can start building a wall.
Yeah.
And so seriously, we are putting it all out there, and even by us starting this petition, this is in their attention now. They're gonna watch to see what we do. Tag everybody you know. It doesn't just have to be St. Clair County residents. We just need over 100,000 signatures. That will get a response from the White House, because I'm telling you, just imagine the joy that will come from this family to know that Larry, again, we're not, at no point have you heard any video that Amy is a horrible mother. Mm-hmm. You've never heard that. And you'll never hear that. This is not a battle against that side or this side. The battle is about the safety of a child.
Yep.
And so we want to make sure we do everything possible. Also, since there still is a Larry in the woods and we are hearing speculation of things, there is a number on there, DHS child abuse line. That's 1-855 number.
It's on the back of that.
It's on the back of there? All right, good. All right. On the back. It's on the back. I got to open it now, so it's in the middle of it. Okay, here we go. So listen, right now, since there's still concern in the safety of Oakley, call 855-444-3911. That's the child abuse line. We're concerned. So if you begin to call that line, that happens in Grand Rapids, that's going to get the attention.
And we're also concerned about the other complaints that have been filed about incidents out there.
Absolutely. 855-444-3911. If all of us who are watching, how many watching right now?
26.
Huh?
26.
Yeah, 26. If y'all just start calling right now, that's going to get some movement. Just begin to call right now and let the folks know there's some concerns about a guy named Larry in the woods. Mm-hmm. All right. Anything else you want to share?
No, I'm good.
All right. So listen, thank you guys so much for joining us. I pray that y'all be blessed, be encouraged. And again, to my wonderful secret admirer, I'll be waiting on your next letter. And feel free to let me know where you're from so that we can talk and maybe have coffee on me. And you can share your concern and also your ability to dissect scripture in such a theologically sound, profound way. Have an amazing night. And remember, if you have trouble and you don't want to write me, just come see me at 1640 Cleveland Avenue, Port Huron, Michigan, 4060. I am here Sunday morning, 7:30 until about 12, and Wednesday at 6 p.m. And if you have any other trouble, I'll meet you anywhere else. Be blessed. Have a great night, and we'll see you later. Thank you.
Bye.